The message appeared in the family group chat on a Wednesday afternoon while I was reviewing architectural plans for our new headquarters building. Hey family! So we've finalized our guest list and keeping it super intimate. Only 80 people. We're inviting family members who've really made something of themselves, successful careers, established lives, Want the wedding to reflect our values of achievement and excellence. Can't wait to celebrate with our accomplished family. The responses came immediately. Aunt Sharon, so proud of you for having standards. Uncle Mike, that's my girl. Quality over quantity. Cousin Brett, makes sense. Keep it classy. Mom, beautiful idea. Madison, your wedding should showcase the best of our family. I stared at my phone screen, watching the congratulations pile up. 43 family members in this chat, and every single one of them was liking Madison's message, adding celebration emojis, praising her selectivity. My phone buzzed with a direct message from Madison. Hey Zoe, just wanted to give you a heads up that we're keeping the wedding really small. Family with established careers only. I'm sure you understand. Maybe we can get coffee after the honeymoon? 2 hearts. I set my phone down and returned to the architectural plans. My assistant knocked on my office door. Ms. Chen, the contractor needs approval on the sustainable materials upgrade. It'll add $340,000 to the build, but the environmental certification will. Approve it, I said. The certification matters more than the cost. After she left, I looked at my phone again. The group chat had moved on to discussing Madison's venue, some historic mansion in wine country, and her fiancé's impressive job as a financial analyst at a mid-tier investment firm. I typed a simple response. Congratulations, Madison. Wishing you both happiness. Then I muted the chat and went back to work. The assumption that I was unsuccessful wasn't new. It had been the family narrative for 8 years, ever since I dropped out of law school after 1 semester. I'd been 22, following the path my family expected. Undergraduate degree in political science, law school admission, eventual partnership at a prestigious firm. The same path my father had taken, my uncle, my older cousin Brett. Except I'd hated every single day of law school. Hated the competitive atmosphere, the theoretical arguments, the future I could see stretching ahead of me, a career I'd chosen to please my family, not myself. So I'd withdrawn, packed up my apartment, moved across the country, and started working as a junior designer at a small architectural firm. The family reaction had been catastrophic. You're throwing your life away, Dad had said on a phone call I could still hear perfectly 8 years later. Architecture? You'll never make real money. You'll never have the prestige or security of law. She's always been the impractical one, Aunt Sharon had announced at Thanksgiving that year, as if I wasn't sitting right there, chasing creative dreams instead of building a real career. Madison, who'd been 17 at the time, had looked at me with pity. I'd never give up on something important just because it was hard. I'd tried explaining that I wasn't giving up, I was choosing a different path. But they'd already written the story. Zoe was the family disappointment, the one who'd had potential and wasted it. The cautionary tale they referenced whenever younger family members talked about unconventional careers. So I'd stopped trying to convince them. I'd moved to Seattle, kept my head down, and worked, designing residential projects at first, then small commercial buildings, then larger and more complex structures. I jumped from that small firm to a mid-size one, then to a major international architecture firm. 5 years ago, I'd started my own practice. Chun Architecture and Design now employed 62 people. We designed 3 award-winning civic buildings, 2 sustainable housing developments, and a university science center that had been featured in Architectural Digest. Last year's revenue was $18 million. This year we were projecting $24 million. But I attended family gatherings in simple clothes, drove a practical Subaru, and spoke vaguely about design work when asked about my career. I lived in a modest apartment in the city, never mentioning the mountain house I designed and built myself or the waterfront property I'd purchased as an investment. They'd filled in the narrative themselves. Zoe was still struggling, still working for someone else, still trying to make her impractical architecture dream work out. Probably barely making ends meet. I'd let them believe it. because correcting them meant caring what they thought, and I'd stopped caring somewhere around year 3. Madison's wedding exclusion should have bothered me. Should have stung. Instead, I felt nothing but mild curiosity about how long this particular fiction could sustain itself. The week passed normally. I presented designs to a major tech client on Thursday, finalized contracts for a museum renovation on Friday, and spent Saturday hiking in the mountains with friends who actually knew what I did for a living. The family group chat continued buzzing with wedding updates. Madison posted photos of her dress shopping, her floral arrangements, her cake tastings. Everyone celebrated each decision, each detail. On Sunday afternoon, my phone rang. Unknown number. Hello. Hi. Is this Zoe Chen? A woman's voice, professional, uncertain. Speaking. This is Amanda Whitmore from Pacific Design Magazine. I'm working on our annual Rising Stars in Architecture feature, and your firm came highly recommended. I was hoping to schedule an interview and photo shoot. I pulled on my calendar. I have availability next Tuesday afternoon. Perfect. We're particularly interested in your sustainable design approach and the recent Civic Center project. That building is stunning. Thank you. I'm proud of how it turned out. After we scheduled the details, I sat on my apartment balcony, the modest apartment, the one my family would find appropriately humble, and looked out at the city skyline. 3 of the buildings visible from where I sat contained my designs. The family had no idea. My phone buzzed with a text from my project manager. Client approved the final designs for the waterfront development. $31 million contract signed. Champagne tomorrow? I texted back. Absolutely. Team celebration. The family chat notification appeared above it. Madison posting more wedding countdown excitement. The contrast was almost funny. Monday morning, I was in a design review meeting when my phone started vibrating continuously. I ignored it. We were discussing structural calculations for a complex cantilevered section, and the engineering team needed my input. When the meeting ended 90 minutes later, I had 27 missed calls and 64 text messages, all from family members. The group chat had exploded. I scrolled to the beginning of the chaos. It had started with a message from Madison's fiancé's mother, posted 2 hours ago. Just reading Pacific Design Magazine online and saw they're featuring Madison's cousin Zoe Chen, the architect? Is that our Zoe? Then Madison what? No, Zoe works as a designer somewhere. Not the same person. But someone had posted a link. And then another link to Architectural Digest's profile of the University Science Center. And then a link to our firm's website, with my photo and bio clearly visible. Zoe Chen, founder and principal architect, Chen Architecture and Design. The chat had descended into chaos. Aunt Sharon, I don't understand. When did this happen? Uncle Mike. Her website says she founded the firm 5 years ago? Brett. Wait, she designed the Harrison Civic Center? That building won awards. Mom. Zoe, why didn't you tell us? Dad. This can't be right. You're working for an architecture firm, not running one. Madison, I'm so confused. I scrolled through 64 messages of confusion, disbelief, and demands for explanation. Then I typed a simple response. The information on the website is accurate. I founded my firm 5 years ago, currently employing 62 people. The Pacific Design Magazine interview is scheduled for tomorrow. I sent it and put my phone face down on my desk. It vibrated for 30 seconds straight. The direct messages came next. Madison. Zoe, I had no idea. Why didn't you say anything? This is amazing. Of course you're invited to the wedding. I'll email you the invitation details. Mom, you let us think you were struggling. You let us worry about you. Why would you hide this? Dad, we need to talk. This is unacceptable. Family doesn't keep secrets like this. Aunt Sharon, I've been telling people you were barely getting by. I look like an idiot. Brett, dude, you're actually killing it? Why the humble act? I responded to none of them. Instead, I went to lunch with my team, celebrated the waterfront development contract, and returned to an afternoon of design work that actually mattered. By evening, my phone had logged 93 missed calls. Finally, I answered when Mom called for the 7th time.
Zoe,
Finally. We've been trying to reach you all day. I was working. What do you need? What do I need? I need to understand why you've been lying to us for years. I haven't lied once. You less think you were working for someone else. You never said you owned a firm. I told you I started my own practice 5 years ago. At Uncle Mike's birthday party. You said, "That's nice, honey," and changed the subject to Brett's promotion. Silence. I don't remember that.
Ida.
I also told Dad about the Civic Center project 2 years ago. He said it sounded like I was finally getting more serious about architecture and maybe I'd make a real career of it yet. But you never corrected us. You never explained how successful you actually were. Mom, I tried explaining for the first 3 years. Every time, I was dismissed or patronized or told that architecture wasn't a real career like law. So, I stopped explaining. I built my company. Anyway, your assumptions about my failure weren't my responsibility to fix. That's not fair. You drove an old car. You lived in a small apartment. You dressed like... Like what? Like someone who values function over appearance. Like someone who doesn't need to perform wealth for validation. I kept my voice even. I dress professionally for clients. I live in an apartment that meets my needs. I drive a reliable car. None of those things indicate failure. You just decided they did. Madison feels terrible. She wants you at the wedding now. I'm sure she does. Will you come? I looked at my calendar. The wedding was Saturday, the same day as the groundbreaking ceremony for our museum renovation project, a project 2 years in the making, a $47 million contract, a design I'd poured my heart into. I have a professional commitment that day. Zoe, this is your cousin's wedding. Family comes first. Family does come first. That's why I would have appreciated being included when the guest list was made. But Madison was clear. Only successful family members. She didn't think I qualified. I respected that decision. She didn't know. None of us knew. You didn't know because you never asked. You assumed. And now you want me to rearrange my professional commitments because those assumptions turned out to be wrong. I paused.
No, ma'am.
I won't be attending the wedding. But please give Madison my best wishes. You're being petty. I'm being professional. There's a difference. I hung up before she could respond. The Pacific Design magazine interview happened Tuesday, as scheduled. The journalist was smart, asked excellent questions about sustainable design principles and the integration of natural elements in urban architecture. The photographer took shots of me at our current projects in the office with my team, reviewing blueprints and models. Your story is fascinating, Amanda said as we wrapped up. Law school dropout to award-winning architect. That's quite a journey. I didn't drop out. I redirected. She smiled. I love that.
Can I use it?
Please do. The article would publish in 2 weeks, timed with their annual Rising Stars feature. My PR coordinator had already scheduled follow-up interviews with 3 other design publications. Meanwhile, the family chaos continued. The group chat had become an echo chamber of confusion and recrimination. People arguing about who had known what, when they should have realized why I'd been so secretive. Madison posted a long message apologizing, saying she'd been misinformed about my career status and that I was absolutely invited to the wedding, that they'd make space for me. I didn't respond. On Wednesday, Dad showed up at my office. My assistant looked uncertain. Miss Chun, your father is here without an appointment. He says it's important. Send him in. Dad entered my corner office slowly, taking in the floor-to-ceiling windows, the architectural models displayed on custom shelving, the awards mounted on the walls, the city views that cost $8,000 a month in rent alone. This is your office. Yes. It's impressive. Thank you. He sat in the client chair across from my desk. I came to apologize. Okay. That's it? Just okay. I folded my hands on my desk. What would you like me to say, Dad? You're here to apologize for 8 years of dismissing my career, for assuming I'd failed because I chose a different path than you wanted, for supporting Madison's decision to exclude me from her wedding because I wasn't successful enough. Yes, you should apologize. So, I'm listening. He looked down at his hands. 62 years old, a successful attorney, a man who'd built his entire identity on professional achievement. And he couldn't meet his daughter's eyes. I was wrong, he said finally. About all of it. I wanted you to be a lawyer because I'm a lawyer. I wanted you to follow my path because I understood that path. When you chose architecture, I saw it as rejection. It wasn't rejection. It was self-knowledge. I know that now. But for years, I told myself you'd made a mistake. That you'd given up something secure for something unstable. I convinced myself you were struggling so I could feel vindicated in my disappointment. Did it work? Did feeling vindicated make you happy?
No.
His voice cracked. It made me miss 8 years of your actual life. 8 years of achievements I should have celebrated. And it made me support my niece excluding you from a family wedding because I agreed with her assessment that you weren't successful. I stayed quiet, letting him sit with that reality. The Civic Center, he continued. I looked it up. It won the Regional Design Excellence Award. It's being used as a case study in sustainable architecture programs. You designed that, and when you told me about it, I brushed it off. Yes. And this firm, 62 employees, multiple award-winning projects, revenue that probably exceeds my law practice by a significant margin. I don't measure success in revenue comparisons. But I do. And even by my own narrow metrics, you've surpassed everything I hoped you'd achieve in law. You just did it in a field I didn't respect enough to notice. He looked up, meeting my eyes finally. Can you forgive me? I considered the question carefully. I don't know yet. Forgiveness isn't something I can manufacture on demand. You've spent 8 years believing I was a failure. You can't erase that with one apology. What can I do? Start by actually learning about what I do. Not just now that you know I'm successful, but genuinely understanding why architecture matters to me. Why this path, despite being different from yours, was the right one. I'd like that. And Dad? Stop measuring love by achievement. Stop making family inclusion conditional on success metrics. Madison learned that from somewhere. From watching how our family operates, how we value people based on their careers and accomplishments rather than their character. He nodded slowly. You're right. And I contributed to that culture. Yes, you did. Will you come to the wedding? Madison really wants you there now. I have a groundbreaking ceremony for a museum renovation project. It's been scheduled for 6 months. I'm not canceling professional commitments because Madison's perspective on my worth changed. She made a mistake. She made a choice based on the values our family taught her. I don't blame her for that. But I also don't reward it by dropping everything now that I'm suddenly considered worthy. Dad stood, preparing to leave. At the door, he paused. For what it's worth, I'm proud of you. I should have said that 8 years ago. I should have said it every year since. But I'm saying it now. Thank you. After he left, I sat in my office for a long moment, looking out at the city I'd helped shape, one building at a time. The wedding was Saturday. I spent it at the museum groundbreaking ceremony, wearing a hard hat and holding a ceremonial shovel, surrounded by city council members, museum board directors, and the client team who'd trusted me with their vision. The museum director gave a speech about architectural innovation and cultural preservation. The mayor spoke about community investment and sustainable development. Then they called me to the podium. This building will stand for generations, I said, looking out at the crowd gathered around the construction site. It will house art and history, educate children, inspire creativity. That's the privilege of architecture, creating spaces that outlive us, that serve communities we'll never meet. I'm honored to be part of this legacy. The applause was warm and genuine. We broke ground together, shovels turning the earth that would become foundation, walls, rooms, a structure with purpose and permanence. My phone buzzed in my pocket throughout the ceremony. Family group chat messages, I assumed. I didn't check. The celebration afterward was held at a restaurant downtown. My entire team attended, along with the client stakeholders, the construction partners, the city representatives. We toasted the project, shared stories about the design process, discussed the challenges and innovations ahead. My project manager raised his glass to Zoe, who proved that dropping out of law school was the best decision she ever made. Everyone laughed. They knew my story, the real version, not the family narrative. They knew I'd chosen this path deliberately, built this firm intentionally, succeeded on my own terms. I finally checked my phone around 9 p.m. The family chat had gone silent hours ago. The last message was from Madison, posted at 4:30. Beautiful ceremony. Wish you could have been at both. She'd included a photo, not of her wedding, of my groundbreaking ceremony. Someone had found the live stream the museum had posted online. The image showed me at the podium, hard hat on, city skyline behind me, mid-speech about architectural legacy. Below it, a single message from Dad. This is what success looks like. I'm sorry it took me so long to see it. The Pacific Design magazine feature published 2 weeks later. Rising Stars in Architecture. Zoe Chun on Sustainable Design and Second Chances. The article detailed my law school withdrawal, my early architecture career, the founding of my firm. It quoted me extensively about design philosophy, about creating spaces that serve communities, about the responsibility architects carry. The quote they'd pulled for the headline came from my description of leaving law school. I didn't drop out. I redirected towards something that mattered more to me than other people's expectations. Mom called within an hour of publication. Everyone is talking about this article. My friends, our relatives, people at church. They're all asking why we never mentioned your success. What do you tell them? I don't know what to tell them, Zoe. The truth makes us look terrible. Then maybe tell them the truth anyway. She was quiet for a moment. I read the whole article. 3 times. You talked about your design philosophy, your team, your projects. You mentioned your education and early career. But you never mentioned family. Not once.
No.
That's deliberate, isn't it?
Yes.
My family didn't shape my career.
My choices did.
My mentors did. My team did. Why would I mention people who dismissed this path from the beginning? That's harsh. It's honest. I softened slightly. Mom, I love you. I love Dad and Madison and all of them. But my professional success isn't yours to claim. You didn't support this journey. You actively discouraged it. You don't get to rewrite that history now that the outcome is good. So what now? We just pretend the past 8 years didn't happen.
No.
We acknowledge them. We accept that you believed I was failing and treated me accordingly. We recognize that your love was conditional on success metrics you defined. And then we decide if we want to build something different going forward. And do you want to build something different? I looked around my office. The architectural models I'd created, the team I'd hired, the projects that would outlast all of us. I've already built something different, I said. The question is whether you're interested in being part of my actual life, or just the version of it that fits your narrative. Madison called the next day. I read the article, she said without preamble. And I need to apologize. Really apologize, not the performative group chat thing. Okay. I excluded you from my wedding because I thought you were unsuccessful. Because I've been taught that success looks a certain way, degrees, titles, corporate positions. You didn't fit that picture, so I dismissed you. Yes. But I should have asked. Should have been curious about what you were actually doing instead of assuming. And I definitely shouldn't have announced in a group chat that I was only inviting successful family members. That was cruel, even if I didn't understand it at the time.
It was honest, I said.
Cruel, but honest. And honestly, I respect that more than fake inclusion would have been. The wedding was beautiful, Madison said quietly. But everyone kept talking about your groundbreaking ceremony, about the museum project, about how impressive your firm is. My wedding became about your absence instead of my presence. I'm sorry that happened. Don't be. I earned it. I spent weeks planning a wedding to showcase successful family members, and it turned out I'd excluded the most successful one. That's poetic justice. I laughed despite myself. How's married life? Good. Really good, actually. David's supportive and kind. We're building something real together.
She paused.
I want that with you too. Not the marriage part, obviously, but the real relationship part. Can we start over? Can I actually get to know who you are instead of who I assumed you were? I'd like that.
Cool.
Also, I want to hire your firm. What? David and I are buying a house. New construction. I've looked at your portfolio, and your residential designs are stunning. I want you to design our home. Madison, you don't have to. I'm not doing it to make up for the wedding. I'm doing it because you're an incredible architect, and I want to live in a space you created. Plus, selfishly, I want to work with you. Learn how you think, how you approach design. See what I missed all these years. I pulled up my project calendar. Send me the property details. We'll schedule a consultation.
Thank you, Zoe.
For this. For everything. For succeeding despite us, not because of us. That's actually inspiring. After we hung up, I sat with that for a moment. Despite us, not because of us. It was the most honest acknowledgement anyone in my family had offered. 3 months later, I sat in Madison and David's future living room, currently just a foundation and framing, reviewing the preliminary designs with them. Madison asked intelligent questions about sightlines and natural light. David wanted to understand the sustainable materials we were incorporating. This window placement, Madison said, pointing to the plans. It frames the mountain view perfectly. How did you know? I spent 3 hours on the property at different times of day. Watched how the light moved, where the views opened up, how the space would feel in different seasons. Good design is about understanding how people will live in a space, not just how it looks on paper. That's what the article said about your approach. It's what I believe. We worked through the rest of the design review, making adjustments, refining details. At the end, Madison walked me to my car. The family is doing better, she said. Understanding you better. Dad talks about your projects at dinner now. Mom brags about you to her friends. It's like they're seeing you for the first time. They're seeing me for the first time. The question is whether they can sustain that vision or if it'll fade once the novelty wears off. I think it'll sustain. You've changed us. Made us question our definitions of success. I didn't change you. I just refused to change myself to fit your definitions. You changed yourselves. She hugged me before I got in my car. Thank you for designing our home. And for not giving up on family entirely, even when we gave you every reason to. Family is complicated, I said. But it's worth trying to build something real when people are willing to do the work. I drove back to my office, not the modest apartment, but the real office, the one I'd stopped hiding. I had a design review in an hour, a client meeting after that, and a dinner celebration for a team member's promotion. My phone buzzed with a family group chat message. Dad had posted a photo from a legal conference where someone was presenting a case study about civic architecture. My Harrison Civic Center was featured prominently. Proud dad moment, he'd written. They don't know she's my daughter, but I know. It was a small thing, but it was real. And real, I'd learned over 8 years of building something that mattered, was worth more than any performance of success could ever be.